prisoners who are people skilled at manipulation and sweet talking and, you know, charming people, are in a situation where they have no power other than their ability to get to know somebody who has access to things.
These are hardened criminals, okay? A lot of them have very, very extensive histories, violent histories, and there's a way that they do have about charming women or anybody that they need to fulfill their own needs.
People are going to take advantage when they see a crack in the armor, and they're going to go for it. And these people, you know, they're manipulators. They're predators.
I'm not buying anything you just said right there. Granny right here is gangster. This woman had a plan. I believe it in my heart that as time goes on, we're going to start finding out some things about her.
So, was Joyce Mitchell Granny manipulated, or is she a mastermind behind a prison escape? I'm back with Emily, Vanessa, and Mike. In the audience, I have Larry Levine. He's a former federal inmate himself. He's also founder of Wall Street Prison Consultants. So, is she more calculating, Larry, than we thought, or was she the unwitting victim of these manipulators?
She was lonely. They took advantage of her. She's no mastermind. She could have been anybody in that prison, but these guys were working with her. They moved in on her. They got into her confidence, became her friend. Hell, she was sleeping with them as far as we know.
And there may have been information exchange where she, you know, they kept using that to manipulate her, perhaps. Like maybe she knows something that they have on her. Well, I mean,
you find out things about staff. You work with them long enough. You could profile. I used to profile the staff to know how I can manipulate them.
Did you?
Oh, absolutely.
What'd you get?
I mean, extra phone calls, extra food, just stuff. You know, I used to walk around one institution. I'd make a circuit, find out information, and exchange that with the staff at the end of the day. So I was kind of like running things to a certain degree.
Wow. We have audience questions. Go right ahead, ma'am. I
just wonder if she was really feeding her ego. Did she really want a captive audience? Is that something that she really needed?
I think that's what a lot of these women like, is the danger with captivity. Larry, you say yes.
Absolutely. Okay, on the outside, let's face it, Drew, would anybody really give her a second look?
Ouch.
But inside
Vanessa
prison,
says no.
Behind the wall, she's the princess. Yeah. Oh, you look beautiful today. That's a nice sweater that you're wearing. I mean,
how do you think they got her, if indeed it's the case they got her to want to kill her husband, and how do you think they got her to that point?
I don't even believe that. I think the news media and the feds and everyone have it all wrong. This lady has changed her story. First, well, they threatened to kill him. Then all of a sudden it turned into a contract kill. I don't really believe a word she has said, other than the fact that, yes, she did help them.
So it's back to Karamo's idea that she's kind of involved more than just an unwitting dupe. Other questions? Go ahead.
Yes, I honestly don't understand how a woman can really overlook someone's criminal activity.
Well, you heard Anna. She was happy to overlook it and sort of did.
Well, there's many layers of criminal activity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be more than happy to forgive a guy who served his time, you know, on a 5th drug charge. But if you're dismembering bodies, like, that's, you know, what are you going to do? It's pretty hard to overlook that, you know?
And yet the guys that are terrible killers that have been famous are the ones that we hear about having women line up. What is the matter with you guys?
Me? You don't see me on those websites trying to get,
I don't see you, but I know you're there.
Men are gross. Men are gross, Drew, but you have to admit, at least we're shallow enough to draw, like, we draw an even line. If you're attractive women, it doesn't matter what you do, the reprehensible things you may have done. If you're the president of the United States, all that matters is what you look like in the eyes of shallow men.
I'm more shocked that people still pick up the pen and write these guys. Like, people are really writing letters to these people. That's shocking to me.
Emily, is there something behind that psychologically?
Yeah, I think that's really pathetic, but I think it's also that these people also have a trauma history. I'm going to throw it out there because they are a good victim. She made a good victim. She wasn't the only female working there. She wasn't at all.
I'm sure there were others.
Every married straight woman I know, though, does complain about a lack of excitement.
Do you see them going to prison?
No. I'm just saying, one of the #1 gripes I hear from a lot of women is that their relationship has lost excitement. And I'm not saying that you need to go find a felon, but I'm saying that maybe that is the drive.
Go find a therapist before you find a felon.
Oh, for sure. But Larry, why don't we ever hear, we don't hear about it, I assume it's not as likely to occur in women's prisons where men are being, and women are, women can be very manipulative too, let's face it.
I have an associate that works with me, Bruce Cameron, retired from the federal prison system after 23 years. He worked in women's prisons, and they would come up to him several times a day. That's a nice tie you're wearing, nice shoes, nice coat. He finally had to get a big black lesbian, to put these women in check. just to get them off him.
But why don't we hear about men falling victim to that? If Mike is right.
Well, they do. It's just not in the news. This happens every day.
There's a glass ceiling in prison sex, too? Like there's
to a certain degree there is. You know, it's interesting.
Awesome.
If we can go back to Harold, take just a minute.
Yeah.
I own a prison phone company where we provide discount calling for inmates. And we have women that call in to set up phone service. And, well, what is your relationship to the inmate? I'm their fiancé. Okay, great. I don't want to tell these women, you know what, there's 5 other women that also have service for him. They're also the fiancé.
This is the risk they're taking. They're in massive denial about what these guys actually are. Other questions?
Yeah, I just want to know what it says about a person, human being, man or woman, about them trying to pursue and foster a relationship with someone who's emotionally and physically, in a sense, unavailable and much less a convicted killer.
What's your theory?
I mean, I can't imagine that everything's going on up there perfectly swell.
It's not. It's not. It's usually somebody who has very low self-esteem and somebody who maybe was the victim at some other point in their life.
Or abandoned.
Or abandoned. Absolutely. Definitely abandonment issues.
Well, in fairness, though, I mean, a lot of people do that in the outside world as well. They seek out partners that they know there's no ability for that relationship to go any further. And it kind of keeps them insulated in that safe
But it's an extra level of crazy for someone who's going to take so much time driving to a prison. Like, prisons are hella far. Like, they're not close. They're not around the corner. You got to drive there. You got to drive back.
The most popular theory on our Facebook page comes in from Tony. He says, quote, I don't think these guys ever intended to meet up with Joyce Mitchell. The real plan was for someone else to pick them up all along. She may have gone to the hospital after she realized she'd been duped. Larry, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And there's a term for women like this. They call them prison widows. That they're there.
You're feeling bad for her? She wanted to kill her husband, maybe.
That's a great band name.
They're spending hundreds of hours, thousands of hours a month, or a year, to visit these men for an hour or 2 at a time. And that whole trip could take 48 hours. And the guys, they're safe, as it was said before. They know where they're at. They know that they're not, well, they suspect they're not carrying on with another woman.
Larry, if you know a woman or you are a woman who feels a sense of attraction to guys in prison, what would your advice be to these ladies?
That they should look for the hidden motive. They should look for the hidden agenda behind that.
It's always there.
It's always there. Well, I get now, since I do prison consulting, I have what I call groupies, these women that call me, want to fly me to Vegas, go on cruises with me because of my past working in organized crime.
Sweet.
So I get it, too.
Wow.
As an ex-con.
So rad. That's so rad.
I get it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Please stay with us for this next conversation because this one is, we're going to have a lot of energy about it. It's been in the press. A woman accused of faking her race, and later a mother involved in a brawl at Walmart. Now, there they are. She's charged with child neglect.
Man, that ass, though.
Yeah, I have details. There they go. Back after this.